no one dared to question Xiao Qingrong's decision. These students have been oppressed for a long time, and everyone has been beaten and insulted by the instructors, and with Qingrong's appearance, what they just experienced was a kind of redemption. The mighty resistance began. From the third craft class to the final broadcast room, Xiao Qingrong was escorted along the way. The instructors, who were completely firm in the minds of the students, seemed so vulnerable at the moment, and with Xiao Qingrong's indifferent appearance, no one dared to act. In the end, the injured instructors as well as the teachers were gathered on the playground, and nearly 2,000 students from this school also stood on the playground as they surrounded the instructors and teachers. Call the police? Sorry, Xiao Qingrong took all the mobile phones, and fighting back was even more impossible. After all, the students are standing up for themselves, looking crazier every second, and letting the teachers and instructors understand that Mengyu School isn't a place where they are masters. They had no idea why the boy who led these children to resist was so insane. In the past, these instructors knew that the parents who would send their children to this place were illiterate. They didn't know the terribleness of this place. They only knew that if the children were not obedient, the teacher would educate them casually, so they did so. But now that they've become the meat on the chopping block, some of the instructors have suffered serious injuries, everyone's hearts are filled with fear, and some people have secretly pleaded with these children to let them go. But even with so many children, no one sympathizes with them. The fiercest of the leaders were Yang Fan, Qiyu, Tang Jiayu, and Rong Lele. Currently, the heads of these students, standing still, waiting for Xiao Qingrong in the broadcasting room to speak. No students snuck away while waiting, partly because the school was thousands of miles away from their homes. With them alone, they couldn't leave at all. Soon, the radio on the playground suddenly made a sound. It was a little cluttered, but everyone couldn't help raising their ears. Can you hear me? It was this familiar voice that led other people to resist the instructors and teachers. Now, these students are obediently standing there, listening to the teenager's next command. Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Xiao Qingrong, and I will also be the one who the manager of the Mengyu School. The school's electric walls have all been activated. I hope that none of you have gotten the idea of running away. It will be difficult. The voice on the radio is still very calm. Even if Qingrong were not there, none of these students would dare run away. Yang Fan, who was holding the electric baton, didn't know why, but he felt like he had a new lease on life. It seems that everyone has heard what I said, that's good. Xiao Qingrong looked at the situation on the playground through the monitor. The children were obedient. No one tried to escape, probably because the hatred they had for the teachers was stronger than leaving the school. The new Mengyu School is now formally established. Welcome everyone to the family. My first order is that everyone put the former instructors and teachers into the confinement room, and then everyone will return to their dormitories. I will visit them one by one. Although the broadcast was easy to understand, a lot of things weren't clear. After Xiao Qingrong casually said a few words, he turned off the broadcast, leaving 618 at a loss. Host, what should I do if someone escapes? As a system, 618 feels that it's simply the poorest system in the world. The host was being disobedient all day and made things even more complicated. Run away? It's okay. If they run away, it doesn't matter. Xiao Qingrong smiled, sitting in front of the computer and looking through the information the students had sent to the school. Yes, all the students' information is on this computer, and this computer is also connected to the internet. For Xiao Qingrong, this has already given him a lot of room for operation. With the information about these students who ran away, Xiao Qingrong could easily find them and call the police. So they couldn't exactly run away from the school. Perceiving the thoughts of its host, 618 shivered. Not knowing why, 618 remembered its predecessor, which was a villain system. Why was its host so bright? Instead, its host looks like a villain. Xiao Qingrong didn't know of 618's thoughts, of course. After he casually looked at some information, the next operation made 618 eyes widen. Because the host created a virtual online banking account through the network, all the teachers' money in the school was placed in the virtual account, which amounted to about $700,000. Host, you have wounded and imprisoned these people. I can understand that, after all, they are bad guys, but you're using hacks to make money like this, isn't it wrong? Did it teach the host those hacking techniques so he could make money through shortcuts? 618 had some doubts. Money that wasn't earned through your labor wasn't yours. Isn't it illegal? Xiao Qingrong didn't care about 618's statement at all. He directly invaded the principal's account and transferred the other 30 million funds into the virtual account. This principal was also captured by Xiao Qingrong. Unfortunately for him, he was in school today. 618, Xiao Qingrong's face was already impatient. If he saw the system, he wouldn't have spoken so calmly. 21 years after the establishment of Mengyong College, do you know how many people have been killed here? 618 was perplexed, then it answered. Many. Everything about the school was thoroughly investigated. Even though it was called a school, it had many youths buried under it, and with so many children being sent here, many things weren't clear. These were things that 618 knew, but the parents outside did not. They just thought that by sending the child here, they would change for the better. They never thought about whether anything bad would happen to their child. This money is all earned by the blood of these children. 618, I know you're stupid. Next time, I hope you don't ask such dumb questions. If I wanted to make money, there are millions of ways I could have done it, but this money has too much blood on it. This is also an opportunity for these children to restart their lives. As a former overbearing president, Xiao Qingrong was quite authoritative. 618 also became silent. It seemed to be thinking about whether it was wrong. 618 did not want to make its host angry, but the host did seem right. Xiao Qingrong stopped talking and started to distribute the money, and even took the cigarette on the table to blow out clouds. The current Xiao Qingrong suddenly made 618 feel a little strange. Although there was only one Qingrong in the world, it seemed to have seen another Xiao Qingrong. After the broadcast, the students obediently brought the teachers and instructors to the confinement room, and the principal was among them. They even pleaded and tried to bribe the kids with money, but no one believed them. When the students were abused, they begged the teachers and instructors so much, but they were still beaten. It was useless to ask them, as they would be beaten even harder. Before, the instructors and teachers would personally lock the students into the confinement room, but now they will also taste everything they've done, just like lambs. After the teachers and instructors were in their room, the students stood outside one by one. They were waiting for Yang Fan's order. Along with the wall being inaccessible, they didn't want to leave as they were scared of Qingrong. The blood on his face and his calm smile terrified them. They could only hope that Qingrong and Yang Fan could talk to each other. Everyone go back to their bedrooms. The electric wall on the school wall is already on. Don't run away. I'll take a few people to see Dean Xiao. Who wants to go with me? Yang Fan was not afraid of Xiao Qingrong and even had an indescribable excitement whenever he saw him. I'm going. Qiyu raised his hand for the first time with a smile on his face. This was the day he smiled the most in the 3 years since he entered the school. I'll go too. Rong Lele kept up with her. Don't look down on her as a little girl, she was very fierce. After that, several people were selected to go to the broadcast room together, and other students returned to their bedrooms at Yang Fan's request. Yang Fan and others soon came to the broadcasting room. The door of the broadcasting room was open. Yang Fan stood at the door and knocked. Xiao Qingrong heard the sound and, rotating his chair, turned around and saw Yang Fan and others standing at the door. Come in. He spoke. The blood on his face had been wiped away, revealing his clean and innocently handsome face. If the students saw his face now, they wouldn't think he was the devil who could kill someone. Yang Fan, Tang Jiayu, Chiyu, and Rong Lele walked in, wearing school uniforms that didn't fit well. Standing in front of Xiao Qingrong, they looked extraordinarily shy. The atmosphere was a little off. Just as a few people were stunned, Yang Fan suddenly knelt on the ground. "My name is Yang Fan. You saved my life and punished the instructors and teachers. You are my life-saving benefactor. From now on, if you tell me to head east, I will never go west. Even if it is a murder, I am willing." His voice carried a kind of determination, and his eyes stared at Xiao Qingrong with burning eyes, a gaze full of spirit, much better than the deadly look from before. "Me too. You punished the teachers, I will also listen to you in the future." Rong Lele also knelt on the ground. She was also sent away from home for several years. She still hoped to go out from the beginning. 5 years have passed. After being beaten by the instructors here, Rong Lele didn't harbor much hope. She didn't want to live. If it weren't for watching her enemy fall into hell, she would have died. Anyway, living was already the most painful thing in the world for her. Now, someone had avenged her. Rong Lele felt that her life was not very valuable anyway. Her parents didn't even want her anymore, did they? The other two were also on their knees. These 4 were students who stayed at the school for the longest time. Because their family gave the school 60,000 yuan a year, they haven't been able to go home. Rong Lele came in at the age of 14 and had already turned 19 years old this year. Tang Jiayu has been here for 4 years and was also sent by his parents. Only he among them fled and asked for help. But after his parents and the police knew he was studying at Mengyu School, they sent him back. After that, Tang Jiayu no longer ran away and became a good student at the school. And Chi Yu was sent because of her internet addiction. He was only 16 years old when he was sent in. He was already 20 years old this year. No one took him out. He had given up his family, even in Xiao Qingrong. Before coming, he even planned to commit suicide. Such crazy revenge on the instructors was just a carnival before death for Chi Yu. Xiao Qingrong has read the information about these 4 people and knows exactly how they were sent in. He also understood that these 4 people have suffered even more pain because they've stayed here for the longest time. Because of this, he did not intend to let these people go. From the moment they were sent to Mengyu School, they no longer wanted their parents or family members. "You guys, don't you want to go home?" Xiao Qingrong glanced at the 4 people kneeling on the ground and asked lightly, which made the 4 people kneeling on the ground slightly change. Rong Lele even laughed sarcastically, looking eagerly at Xiao Qingrong. "I have no parents. In the 5 years since I came in, how many times have I been beaten by the instructors, and how many people have I asked for help? My parents only came to see me once, and I secretly told them that I had been beaten by the instructor. But my parents didn't believe it and told the teacher. Do you know what happened that night?" She laughed, tears slowly dropped, and even the 3 boys on the side felt uncomfortable. Her eyes were redder than ever. "Oh, just when I told my parents that I was beaten by the instructors that night. After they left, the school instructors hailed me even more frantically. They punished me for telling my parents about this, and I worked so hard to shout for help, wanting them to save me, but they didn't believe me, and they also handed me over to those b.s.t.r.ds. If it weren't for my wanting to see their demise so badly, I would have hit my head to death already." This incident was very loud at the time. Almost all students of the same year knew about the event the next day. The instructors warned all the girls and asked them not to let their parents know their true situation. As for Rong Lele, her body was so badly bruised that it looked like a slaughter. "Lele." Yang Fan wanted to stop her. Although he didn't love Rong Li, they entered the school at the same time, so of course their relationship was better. But when he unbuttoned his shirt to show everyone his scars, he felt even more uncomfortable. Qiyu and Tang Jiayu were not much better. Their eyes were bloodshot because they knew that when this happened, everyone knew what happened, but no one dared to stand up and resist. The matter of Rong Lele had been constraining the deepest imprint in their hearts, making them self-disgusted. What about the others? All of you also don't want to go back home? Xiao Qingrong's gaze glanced over Rong Lele. This girl did suffer, but she was also a firm-minded person. It seemed that she would be a good seed to cultivate in the future. I don't want to go back. My parents never thought I would learn well. Yang Fan smiled bitterly and said these words. Qiyu and Tang Jiayu nodded. How many times have they tried to ask their parents for help in the past few years? But every time they were disappointed, so they no longer believed in their parents. Seeing the firmness of these four people, Xiao Qingrong was very satisfied, because only after experiencing all these things and knowing that you could rely on yourself can one truly survive in this society. Looking at the children who left the school. How many are good? I am very glad that you have made such a choice, and you are also officially welcome to join the new menu school. In the future, you can call me Dean Xiao. Now the school needs you. All instructors and teachers are placed in the confinement room. I don't want them to run away, understand? He raised his eyebrows and saw Yang Fan nod. I promise I won't let them run away. I will find someone to watch them. Yang Fan hated these people. If it were not for them, his life would not have been like this. Okay, this is up to you, Rong Lele. Starting today, you will manage the school's food. Someone will come to deliver food at 6 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at noon, and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I hope you will not let me down. There are more than 2,000 students in the school. There were no chefs. They had to cooperate with a fast food restaurant every day. They would deliver one meal a day. These students have long been used to the daily meal. When Rong Lele heard these words, she was instantly motivated, her stubborn and serious eyes flashed. I can do it. Just take a meal. Rong Lele believes that she can manage these students in the school. Tang Jiayu, you are responsible for comforting all students and telling them the new rules of the school. Xiao Qingrong took out the new rules of the school he had printed out, and Tang Jiayu got up and picked it up, promising to complete the task. Lastly, Qiyu, from now on you can count the situations of all the students. Make statistics of those who want to go home and those who don't. I want to see everyone's thoughts after 3 days. Qiyu nodded hurriedly. He didn't plan to go home. Although he knew that Dean Xiao was younger than him, he couldn't find any sort of resistance against him. 21 years after the establishment of the school, it has finally ushered in its new changes. Starting today, Xiao Qingrong will take these children abandoned by their parents down another path. The beast has opened its fangs and is no longer controlled by the hunter. Who had been arrogant and domineering, now had to take a step back in front of the students' united resistance.